I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now, can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Riding on the tractor, lean all in my bladder. Cheated on my baby, you can go and ask her. My life is a movie, but riding in boobies. Cowboy hat from Gucci, Wrangler on my booty. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
Down cross town, living like a rock star. Spend a lot of money on my brand new guitar. Baby's got a habit, diamond rings and Fendi sports bras. Riding down the road in my Maserati sports car. Got no stress, I've been through all that. I'm a Marlboro man, so I keep going back. Wish I could roll on back to that Old Town Road. I wanna ride till I can't no
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
Yeah, to a party with Cardi. Cartier body in a Rari. Diamonds all over my body, shining all over my body. Cardi got your bitch on. You ain't gang, you lame. Billy truck laying the lane, blow up the brain. I go insane. I drop a check on the chain, pick up a flame. Credit ticket man, you upset. Bitch, they upset. Yeah, Cardi put the pussy on offset. Cardi be credit ticket man, you upset. Rich, they upset. Yeah, Cardi put the pussy on offset. Cardi be offset. Who got this motherfucker started? God. Who took your bitch at the party? I took your bitch in the party. God. Who that be fly as a Martian? God. Who that don't blink in the cut? God. Who got them bricks in the truck? God. Them diamonds go hit like a bitch on a ass bitch. You a wanna be caught. Red bottom MJ moonwalk on the moonwalking through your clique. I'm moonwalking in the 650 with the kid. Moonboxing this bitch. I'm from the Bronx. I keep the pump in the trunk. If you bad, then jump. Might leave your bitch in the slump. You're back. For a party with Cardi. Cardi a body in a Rari. Diamonds all over my body, shining all over my body. Cardi got your bitch on. You ain't gang, you lame. Billy truck laying the lane, blow out the brain. I go insane. I drop a check on the chain, pick up a check in the flame. Cardi ticket man, you upset. Bitch, they upset. Yeah, Cardi put the pussy on offset. Cardi be offset. Cardi ticket man, you upset. Cardi got rich, they upset. Yeah, Cardi put the pussy on offset. Cardi be offset.
Yeah, wanna party with a savage, 21. Savage in the ass, yeah. High-end cars and fashion, 21. I don't eat on God. My brother crippin', I'm drippin'. Told the waitress I ain't tipping. I like hot sauce on my chick, on God. I pull the rubber off and I put hot sauce on her. I'm in a Bentley truck, she keep on sucking like it's 10 and 20. All these VVS's, my sperm work, yeah, on God. So bad I popped them before I hit them.
You for a party with Cardi. Cardi a body in a Rari. Diamonds all over my body, shining all over my body. Cardi got your bitch on. You ain't gang, you lame. Billy truck lame, blow out the brain. I go insane. I drop a check on the chain, pick up a check in the flame. Cardi put the pussy on offset. Cardi offset. Credit ticket man, you upset. Cardi got
Breakfast Tiffany's and bottles of bubbles. Girls with tattoos who like getting in trouble. Lashes and diamonds, ATM machine. Buy myself all of my favorite things. Been through some bad, I should be a sap. Who would've thought it turned me to a savage? Rather tied up with calls and not strings. Write my own checks like I write what I sing. My wrist, stop watching. My neck is flossy. Make big deposits. My gloss is popping. You like my hair? Gee, thanks. Just bought it. I see it. I want it. I got it. Yeah, I want it. I got it. 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 Yeah. You like my hair? Gee, thanks. Just bought it. I see it. I like it. I want it. I got it. Yeah. Wearing no ring, but ain't gon' be no kisses. By matching diamonds for 6 a month. I'd rather spoil all my friends with my riches. Think we tell therapy. I know addiction. Whoever said money can solve your problems must not have had enough money to solve them. They say which one I say now. I want all of them. Happiness is the same price as Adams. It's giving. My skin is gleaming. The way it shine, I know you seen it. I bought a crib just for the closet of his and hers. I want it. I got it. Yeah, I want it. I got it. I got it. I want it. I got it. I got it. You like my hair? Gee, thanks. Got it. I like it. I want it. I got it.
DJ
They say my time is almost up. Tell them wish. All these ice looking cold. All these fish dicks. Put a ribbon on my box, cause it's gifted. I ain't got no free time. All my shit expensive. See my ring, my watch, my chain, and everything is lit. Gold on a like I'm slick Rick. If they love me or they hate, it don't make no difference. It be hard not to kill her, cause I be tempted. Now I be counting money, buying jewelry, be body. I just make my M's and mind my business, be body. I can see Cardi eat so much and that's what got him sick. But I wonder how they still impregnate all that riding. Y'all better go ahead with that week. I'm certified real street. Won't be a song if I leak. We strapped up like defense. Whatever you do, sis, keep it cute, sis. Leave it the roof, Chris, I end up toothless. I've been official my whole life. I bought burners, I ain't buy lights. How little old me, money got everybody all tight. These like rap garb, they diss me, I disregard. Bet you if I had it, couldn't get it hard. They say my time is almost up. Tell them wish. All these ice looking cold, all these fish dicks. Put a ribbon on my box, cause it's gifted. I ain't got no free time. All my shit expensive. See my ring, my watch, my chain, and everything is lit. Gold on a I feel like I'm slick Rick. If they love me or they hate me, it don't make no difference. It be hard not to kill her, cause I be tempted.
$100 I could've bought me a house. No joke. Feel like I'm the greatest rapper, came out the south. Who want smoke? She keep tryna fuck, I told her top me for now. On God. She got shots, I told her work on her mouth. Straight up. Everybody talking this king, we shoot it up, we don't battle. Corn about no money, we don't give a about your talent. Snitch. Came from the bottom, I'm a multi-millionaire, I was just sleeping on pallets. 21. These rappers I'm 4L gang, we the best like DJ Khaled. Spread up. Yo, got that crazy head like a Kanye tweet. 21. Had a wedding for my Glocks, call him 21. I rent with my chopper cause it stay with me. Oh, leave you to me. Oh God. He threw in a wife, but I still won't be with Cardi. I know I'ma talk you look both.
To them wish. All these put a ribbon on my box.
ain't running on herself. She just wanna pull up in the crib with your girls on my bed like that. Riding on my now I'm hot. I could never flop now. Finally getting guap now. Made it off the block now. Do it for my hometown. Made it with my own sound. Every single city you mention me, yeah, they know now. I'm rich as fuck. Copped up truck. Used to ride on that bus. Now I'm up. Yeah, my whole squad up. We ain't never gonna give up. Rich as fuck. I could never. Damn yeah. This my year. This gon' be my year. This gon' be my year. This my year. This gon' be my year. This gon' be my year. My year. My year. This gon' be my year. Be my year. This my year. This gon' be my year. This gon' be my year. My year. My year.
Kendall Jenner, your pockets on. New Rolly Poly, that's 35 for that white gold. Ain't saw the beat, just got there. Psycho, hot now. That means pull up, drop now. Click it, put the top down. Decepticon raw, just to show on the block now. The 10 window, she can't stop, you feel me? I'm rich, pop the limbo truck, no boo pulling up. That hit up there, we're heckin' riches. Let's just get this clear. It's gonna be my year every year. Back to back like my career. This year,
this gon' be my year. This gon' be my year. This my year. This gon' be my year. This gon' be my year. My year. This be my year. This gon' be my year. This my year. This gon' be my year. Be my year. So no, used to sit in the place. Watch the seats. I go back. And I got when I ride. My 50 in the house. Never whole squad by side. You want that? Now I'm up. I hope I ain't never gonna give up. This I can't believe. Diamonds in here. This gonna be my year. This year. My year. This be my year. My year. My year. It's gonna be my year. This my year.
every year. You feel me? Yeah. You know, Sherry is getting scared. Go.
My name is my name is
And we are back from break. Thank you, Money Mike, for that lavish DJ set. Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, even though we had to fight through some technical difficulties just due to just the bad internet that we have to deal with. But we are back. We have two special guests that are in the building that are sitting in with us right now. We gave Bam and Scoob the boot. Yes. They are officially fired, and we have new hosts. Yes. Give it up for Miss Ariel from iHeartRadio.
Hey, what's good?
Yes. And the proprietor of this whole thing, Miss Kim Knight. There she is. Yes, Kim. Yes. So thank you guys for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. How's it been going today? Even though we've been watching the whole thing.
Right. We haven't seen it, but you still got to ask.
Yeah, you still got to ask.
It's been pretty good.
Yeah.
For the most part, of course. The goal was more than 0, and we accomplished that goal way over 0.
Yeah.
Well, let's give a round of applause for that. We hit the goal was more than 0, and we hit that.
Yeah, but we've had quite a few who have registered. So you do still have time. If you're watching live, you have about 20 minutes to get here. It doesn't take that long for you to get anywhere in Mobile. So
Absolutely.
I think if you want to
It just takes internet to get a long time to get.
So just get down here and get registered.
That's it. We've been out here in the whopping sun. I've watched Ariel
Ooh, child.
drink more water than normal.
Normally I do about a gallon
A gallon a day.
anyway. So, but like, I think I'm up to like maybe 2 gallons at this point.
Yeah.
And I done already sweated that much out. So,
This is like protest
like,
heat.
it's like, it's giving me a chance to test my new deodorant. though.
Right.
I
Do
feel pretty
deodorant.
good.
Ariel, so, okay. Ariel.
Yeah.
So you got major pool in the city. We'll just say that.
Okay, we can say that.
We can say that.
I was about to say no, don't say that, but you know what? No, I'm gonna roll with that.
Yeah, roll with it.
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah,
Accept
right.
it.
I mean, accept it. It is what it is. You got
what
pool.
it is,
Okay? Don't be trying to get no deal from it. Okay? It doesn't work like that. But no, I'm so glad to have you on, Ariel. This is our first time officially meeting.
Yeah.
We are Instagram friends. We follow each other. We do follow each other on Instagram. You don't even know that.
Wow. Wow. Listen, look. I don't scroll my timeline much for the sake of my mental health, so.
You got a point.
Is that kind of embarrassing to be like, yeah, we're Instagram friends? But, oh, yeah, really?
Really?
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool. Like I knew.
You kind of.
We're going to edit that part
We'll
out,
just
but
keep
I
it
knew.
Even though this is live, we'll keep it like that. Right. So, Ariel.
Okay.
Let me get some. Tell me about your reasons for being here and representing what you're representing. And
because it has always been important to vote. Okay. I am a descendant of Beulah Mae Donald. Anybody is not familiar with that name. She is the woman who bankrupted the Klan after they murdered her son.
Talk about it.
Okay. And
School
and that was in the 1980s.
Right.
Okay. Now the Civil Rights Bill had already been signed and they were pretending like we civil now. But obviously there was not a whole lot of civil behavior going on if in the 80s, this was happening. That was just 30 years ago.
Correct.
So when I hear people say, oh, but slavery was a long time ago, it was not that long ago, for one. And for two, uncivil behavior was just yesterday.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
be A1 about that.
Absolutely.
Let's really have this conversation.
If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Hello. Okay. Let's
Hello.
talk factors.
My name is the plug. All right.
And so ever since I was a child, I always knew from between my mother and my father that voting was our way of being able to speak up and say what it is that we want to say. Unfortunately, there is always a candidate that does not fully represent what it is that we want to say, but gets close enough. And I hate that we have to get close enough.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm really torn with that whole idea. But what I know for certain is politics is politics. You
Right.
know? And America is a business that has always been run by businessmen. And they will always treat this as a business. Let's not pretend like it isn't.
Right.
It is not for
Right.
people. But if we people decide that we are going to be about people, we don't have to worry about our politicians.
That's right.
We about each other.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Like you've seen with
Right.
the uprisings after George Floyd, that when people are about people, stuff starts to
Starts
shift.
to
happens.
change.
Stuff
So let's
happens.
be
Right.
let's be about each other.
Yeah.
You know,
You
and
can
not
see
just
when we
because it's
find,
black
not
and
to
white.
cut you off, but
No,
just
go
to
ahead.
add to what you were saying. You know, we talk about unity and we need to stick together. We need to unify. It can happen. We
Absolutely.
You know, we are showing that. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it can happen. We just have to stop. You know, accepting just the promises and go for and actually get the result.
Put our foot on their neck
Exactly.
in November, but every
There you go.
day.
There you go.
365
We
days
don't
a
have
year.
any choice right now.
No choice. We
don't
had
have
no
a
choice before.
Kim, do you agree?
I agree.
There's no choice. This is a life or death
It's
situation.
vote or die, literally.
Yeah.
Vote or die.
It really is. I mean, that's the way we can use our voice to try to get something changed. I'm not gonna say try to get something changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you have to speak things into existence, and we're focusing on who's in for the election is irrelevant. Like I said, it's all about getting around who's ever in. That's why I say, look, everybody's like two of the what worst evils.
Yeah.
We need to get Biden in there so we can do some footwork around here.
Yeah.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
So we can. So what you're saying is we can't look at Biden. We need to look past Biden.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Look
That's
at
it.
That's
look at who we're
interesting.
putting in the Senate and look at who we're putting in the House.
That's
Right.
exactly.
And look at who are in our local government.
Exactly. This is.
So
I
we can
think.
get the chain moving.
Yo, you just hit it. I think definitely this is the time to. Not saying that you don't get out here and vote.
Right.
You know,
Right.
in November, but local elections
Mm-hmm.
are very important right now.
Very
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
important. Who we
Those are the
send
ones that
to.
affect you first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the immediate effect.
Mm-hmm.
And also, who we send to Washington.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So when we do have a situation where we have to choose the lesser of two evils, like we've talked about on the show, like you just
Right.
brought up,
Right.
it won't be such a bad impact because we've already put the right, people around them. We've already built the village around them.
Exactly. The Senate
Yeah.
race was probably the perfect example of what could happen when we show up to the polls and vote. And when I say we, I'm talking about the black vote. What I'm talking about is the black women voting. 90% of Doug Jones' election happened because black women got out and voted, because we understood
Yeah.
Absolutely.
what was at stake, and we turned a red state blue.
Right.
When does that happen?
It doesn't
Right.
happen.
It doesn't happen. And that's
Right.
how you have to know. We have a swing vote.
Yeah.
We have what you call a swing
Absolutely.
vote. It is so important. That is why voter suppression happens. That
Right.
is why they try to give you the propaganda to say it doesn't matter if you
Yeah.
go and vote.
Right.
Because it is so important that you go vote, because you have that swing vote.
Right.
That's why they come behind us every election. They're like, hey, black, 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 black,
Yes.
black, black, black.
Yes.
You know, like,
There
you
it is.
ever notice
Yes.
the politicians get real black all the time. They
Yes.
really care about black people when
Yeah.
it's time
Right.
for an election season, because we do have a swing vote.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if we are not using that swing vote, guess what? Somebody else speaks in our place. I don't want nobody speaking in my place.
Not me either.
Yes. Yes.
And this is why I believe that Biden had the chance to just
The
could
damn
win.
audacity of his caucasity to fix his face to say,
I
if you black,
mean,
you ain't black if you don't vote.
if you don't vote for who? Him?
him.
Him. Yeah, he said it.
The audacity
Yeah, right.
of his
Yeah.
caucasity. Listen, I prayed one night. I said, Jesus, please give me the audacity of Joe Biden, because my God, what the things that I could do if I had that type of audaciousness. I mean, I took over this world by
Yeah.
then.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I was speaking of Biden and how he even he won the He won the overall.
Yeah, the Democratic.
Yeah. Right.
He's our representative.
Right. He's our representative. Jesus Christ.
Right. Ooh, child. The one with the dread.
Not to jump off topic here, but I really think Joe Biden has dementia or early stages.
Really?
I really believe that. No, I definitely believe that.
Huh.
Like very early stages.
Well,
of it.
if he get in good, and then we can take off and do what we need to do.
Right, because he won't realize it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what? That sounds like a good idea to me.
It does. Doesn't it sound
We got a
good?
president that don't know what he's doing right now. What's the worst that can happen from this point forward?
Exactly. Well, they
Right.
they tell him what to do. So I mean, we can do the same
Now,
thing with Joe
hit it.
Biden.
His issue is just his mouth.
Right. But
He just won't hush.
yes, older blacks. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you, thank you, sir, for my drink. Yes. Older blacks was the ones that got Joe Biden into where he is
I think
into
they have
position.
a trust for him
Because of Obama.
Of Obama. I think it's
Yeah,
just a
definitely.
continuation, or they feel.
But he's a nice white guy, and that's what a lot of older black people like. They believe in these white saviors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Okay,
about it.
let's keep
Yeah.
it.
Talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sip. Let me sip
Yeah.
this real quick before we go into that.
There are
Yeah.
older black people who do believe in white saviors because guess what? I don't knock them because I get when you had things going on like the civil rights movement, you could not get right unless it was white.
Yep.
So now that you have a generation coming up behind between the millennials and Gen Z coming up behind going, no, white ain't necessarily white.
Yep. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's right.
Yeah.
Exactly, because it's so often, and my mom is like in her 60s, there were times where she wanted to correct our language to where we sounded closer to them because that seemed a little bit more right. That was the standard.
Right.
You know? And it wasn't so much that it was right, but it was the standard.
Right.
And that's how so many older black people, and we're talking about those who were born in the 50s and 60s, that is how they view it. As long as it's close to white, it's close to right.
It's
gotta
close
be right.
to right.
Yep.
It's got to be right. It
Gotta be
must
right. Yep.
So older blacks and millennials and the Gen Z, that's pretty much
Who's voting?
who's voting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That upper part of Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These millennials are different. They're not.
Everybody.
They're not our ancestors.
Hey, watch it, because I'm a millennial.
No. It's in a good way.
Yeah.
They're not our ancestors.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, I think that the mentality is different because before us, they felt the need to give so much to white people because they didn't see any other way to get ahead.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I think
Now
now
we
that
know
things are more,
yeah.
you can see everything. You know, and
The
everything.
whole plan.
You can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think that had a lot to do with the mind. You know.
There were certain truths that were not available to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
When they were
Right.
marching and speaking,
Yeah.
Right.
that are now available to us. And so, if anything, before we criticize them, we have to thank them for the footwork that they did, so that we can now see the whole plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the God honest truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's always, you know.
There we go.
best
We're
case
back.
scenario.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry about that. We lost. I don't know. We lost our mics. I think Siri heard it and told the government
Somebody's
that we're talking
got
too.
agent.
Ariel's talking too much truth in here, and they ready
Because as
to.
soon as she finished her
As soon
statement,
as exactly, we were offline.
right, they got a bit too much
Right,
traction
right.
up there. Let me turn that
the mic off.
off. Now,
Shut up. Okay,
Shut
I'm
up.
right over here.
Stop telling the truth in here. No. Okay. I'm gonna go run through some statistics here that I've been writing down all week.
Okay.
Up until this point, you know, I think I like iPhones because you got the notepad, you just
Right.
jot shit down.
love it.
Don't you just love that?
Love it.
You
That's
just
my
jot
best friend.
That's my best friend. Right?
In a business meeting.
Right. And shout out to my producer for getting upset at me for not writing nothing down. I'm writing stuff down now.
I
Mike.
noticed that when you said
Okay.
it, I was like, "Oh, he's writing it down now." I said he wrote and didn't stop writing it.
Money Mike, didn't he hound us the other day about
He
not
was
writing nothing
on
down?
it.
Jesus Christ.
You're not writing anything down.
Okay. All right. So, real quick, I just want to just get you guys' opinions on just a few things that I've been jotting down throughout the week. Okay. I do want to talk about NASCAR and this Bubba Wallace incident real quick, and just get your thoughts about that because we do live in the same state that this happened in. Okay?
Right.
And let's be clear. You know, this is in the forefront of everything you know, dealing with race. To find a noose in a garage where a black man is, you know.
It's just it's crazy because the noose was there in his garage, but around the nation we have been having random hangings pop up. So it's like they were hanging him without touching him.
Right.
Like we can get to you. Like we can touch you if we wanted to.
Right.
Watch yourself.
Right. It's they will always show us who they are.
Exactly.
There's never
Exactly.
going to be a moment where I stop believing that when white people say what they say.
Yeah.
Never.
I don't
Yeah.
care what apology you give me. You said what you said,
Said
and I
it.
believe you.
There
It
you
is
go.
what it is.
There you go.
When a person show you who they are,
Maya,
Believe them the first
when
time.
they show you who they are, believe them.
Absolutely. Well, just the whole, even with the FBI coming back and saying, "Oh, well, he wasn't targeted. It was just."
But remember how the CIA was on some other stuff. The FBI was J. Edgar Hoover was full of shit.
Yes.
All kinds of shit. Like when you
And he
go
was a
back and
cross-dresser.
read the FBI tapes that James Baldwin put together, you see they were righteously on some other shit.
was at-
Consistently.
I'm sorry not to cut you, but Privilege just rolled down
Yes,
the street
of
from
course.
us. You guys at home couldn't see it, but we just saw Privilege drive down the street. There's more privilege.
You know, my act up.
Okay. There's just more privileges riding down the street. Okay.
But that's the God honest truth. Like I have no reason to believe the FBI, CIA, or any of those between the wiretaps they had on Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and James Baldwin. James Baldwin was a writer.
Yes.
So
do
why
you
are we
feel
wiretapping him?
You need to control him and the content that he's put out. Because you already know when you see a threat what a threat is.
Because
They
when the
might got
truth
my
is
phone
spoke,
tapped.
right. Yeah, Ariel, you're next. But when you speak truth to power, that's what comes with it.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, you know. And I think that a lot of white folks are fearful that they're losing that
power.
grip of power.
They're losing their power. They are.
The Great Awakening is here.
You know, fear is a motherfucker. Fear will make you do.
Child.
You know, fear and violence like go hand in hand.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Because if you're fearful of something, you're violent right after that.
Yeah,
you know, you
definitely.
Right.
See, and that's what the police brutality is.
Exactly.
They're fearful. They're fearful. So they come to the car. Okay, I gotta act quick.
Right.
Because I'm afraid of this young black kid.
Let
I
me
don't know
bring
what
the
he
threat
got. I
to
don't
you
know.
first
Let me
before you
just-
bring the threat to
exactly,
me.
To let you know I'm
Because
not playing
at the end of
with
the
you.
day, you think about it like this, and I've used this analogy several times. You think about this: you standing in your kitchen and a spider crawls out. What is your knee-jerk reaction? Kill the spider, right?
Right.
Yep.
Because the spider is dangerous.
Right.
Yep.
It's a damn jumping spider. It ain't
Right.
gonna bite you.
Right.
It don't have no venom.
It don't
as
have-
far as
right.
you're concerned, it's still
not
a
black.
spider.
Still a spider.
That is black people in America.
There you go.
I agree.
There you go.
And there is no amount of mannerism,
Mm.
education. There is not a single tax bracket that I can jump into to where I stop being a threat to white
There you
people.
go.
There it is.
There you go.
Not one.
Speaking of tax bracket, July 7th. So we are supposed to stop the black dollar on July 7th. Is that the consensus around the country?
I don't know if it has been a consensus around the country. I do believe that it is something that we put weight behind.
I said we stop it the whole weekend.
But I
I love
say we don't just stop at one day. I say we take our money and reinvest in our own
There you go.
neighborhoods, in our own businesses. Like I have gone out of my way to make sure that the
I
money
have
that I
to.
spend
It's with
It's
black
with
people.
black people.
is
Yeah.
with black people. And if I
Yeah.
can't find, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Killer Mike's trigger warning.
Yes.
Where He
Yeah.
tried to go a
Yes.
whole day without spending money in
Right.
anywhere but a black business. And so I'm not saying that you at some point not gonna end up spending your dollar with these white folks, okay?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah, because
they
Killer Mike was sleeping on a park
right.
bench.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
in this bitch, okay? They sit here.
He was like, this ain't black. All right.
right. They in here. So it's not. We will never be able to totally wipe it out. But I don't feel like one day is enough
Yeah.
in
I
order
agree.
for us to really show up.
Right, I agree.
A billion, trillions of dollars are spent by black people who supposedly are the people who have the least amount of money. How?
Yeah.
Right.
But we spend the most.
But we spend the most. We got the most spending power, but yet we have the. It's not so much that we don't have money; we don't have the wealth.
Right.
And that's the conversation.
And that's
we
the
really
difference.
got to start
Exactly.
having.
Wealth, right.
That
Yeah.
generational wealth.
We spend what we don't have.
Yeah.
Mm.
To look
To
like
live
we
the
have
American dream that we've been sold.
it. There you go.
It's just like Disney. If you wish upon a star, well, if you wish upon the star, that's on the American flag.
I will say this though, to all you black business owners, stuff like that, we want to support you guys.
We do.
I swear we do.
I promise.
But you got to get your shit together.
Yeah.
You got to get your customer service up. If I need a turnaround, I'm speaking, I don't care. Fuck it. Okay, because we're still waiting on the flyers. We wanted, and we did our due diligence, and we wanted to go black and use a black printer, but you gotta be on point.
Right.
And that's the only thing.
I think
also as consumer. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think also being a black business owner, people come to us with the mentality, I'm trying to support you now. Like I'm trying.
I'm doing you a favor.
I was just about to already come to me with that mentality.
Yeah.
Like, okay, look, I'm trying to support black people. I can go get my products from Target. I can do this. I can do that.
As consumers,
I'm trying
you gotta do better by our black businesses.
Come to me wanting to support me, not because I'm a black bitch. Come to me wanting to support me.
Yeah, because when you go to Target, you're not going to say, I'm coming to you because you're a white bitch.
There you go.
In fact, you don't go to them with a certain expectation.
There you go.
Granted, they have already done the branding and they have already delivered, but you don't. But when they get out of pocket, you not as quick.
Your understanding of
to
them.
go to HR on them.
You don't understand me,
right?
And I grew up with you,
Right.
But you understand this person whom you've never met. I'm gonna give it one more try.
Listen, some of us have been so well
Come on,
colonized.
man, we the
we
same.
can't
You're
see.
supposed to look out for your boy, man.
There you go.
I'm so
And that
sick of
right,
that.
oh, that hookup.
Yeah, the hookup. Let's stop.
I have so many friends that own businesses, and I've never gotten a discount from them. And if they try to give me one, I refuse.
There you go.
I refuse it.
Because it's this bigger than just that.
Absolutely.
And maybe they don't see it, but I see it. And I understand what you mean.
And it matters.
It does matter.
It definitely matters.
Yeah, it does matter. So buy black.
Yeah.
Please.
Because I've been doing so from the restaurants to
Yes, I've discovered more black restaurants in Mobile
than ever before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't
that's
even
a
know
whole
half of the
directory.
stuff was here.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the black restaurant owners.
because we love y'all.
Right.
we love to eat.
Yeah, we
love
do.
it. We love y'all.
Because I'm hungry right now. Yes. Just a few more things.
Okay.
You guys, back to my notes. Back to my notes. I do want to talk about, just real quick, just what happened here. We did talk about it in the first half of the show, about the voter suppression. Okay. Which plagues our community because our communities are targeted for voter suppression.
Absolutely.
Okay, especially in a Republican state, which we are in.
Yeah.
Including Georgia and Kentucky, where that was just ridiculous.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys saw that in Kentucky.
Yeah, it was where they locked the door.
Where they locked
Yes.
the doors. Yeah. So it's just unreal to me. We should be having voter registration drives everywhere in the South.
Right.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. It should be a weekly thing.
I'm doing it every month, every other month.
I think so. I think that we need to.
I think it'll be dope.
Yeah, and I think that it's just lack of education. That,
Absolutely.
That we just don't have.
That's not by chance. That's not a coincidence. There's a lack of
No.
Oh, definitely not.
No, it's
Because
not.
as long as
Definitely
you don't know, you don't question.
There
you go.
You don't question.
Rock the boat. You don't
And
know
then when you
better.
start to question, you're wrong.
It makes you
Why
so
we-
uncomfortable
there
to
you go.
question.
Are you
they go
asking a
out of their way-
question?
Well, who is it uncomfortable for? Is it uncomfortable for them, or is it uncomfortable for you?
Both.
Both.
Let's
Yeah.
let's
Both.
Let's be real. Like it's both.
Both.
It's on both sides because they will. There is, and when I say they, I mean there are people who are so comfortable.
The
that
whites.
Right. The whites and the well colonized black.
There
people.
you go.
There are
There you
well
go.
colonized black people that are so comfortable in the fuckery
Yes.
that when the minute you start asking questions, they start going, "You asking too many
You asking
questions."
Yeah, it's too many questions.
Why would you push that button?
It's above
Don't
your
do
pay
that.
grade.
Yeah.
Baby,
Yeah.
I'm going straight for the panic button.
You know what
Yeah.
I did hear? A little story. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that Mobile told Dr. King, "Yeah,
It's absolutely.
we don't need you to come down."
Yeah.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Don't come
My
down.
grandfather was supposed to go pick him up from the airport, and they were
Wow.
met and told by ministers, "Don't bring that down here. We good."
Yeah.
We like our white folks.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
our white
They
folks,
good to us.
Our
Our
white folks treat us
is
nice.
good
They
to
won't
us.
let us sit next to them and eat.
Yeah,
but
we can't eat one, but
it's
they
okay.
treat us nicely.
We don't want that rift you causing everywhere else. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hear that, Kim?
Bill turned him away.
Yeah.
I heard that at work.
Listen, I worked in conservative news talk radio
Right.
about 3 or 4 years ago. I have met so many black people that are just coons. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of them at that Trump rally in Oklahoma. Don't think we didn't see you niggas.
Oh,
Okay?
oh, yeah.
I trust me, I got a whole show for just that group of niggas that was in the
What were they
Trump
doing?
rally.
Yeah.
And they was cooning. Yeah.
Jigging?
Oh, yeah. We going to put you on blast.
Yeah.
Child, the shuck and jive was so.
Oh, it was it was thick in there.
Yes. My God. And like you could have TikTok.
Yeah.
My God.
You'd have thought they was in there electric slide.
No.
Okay.
Now,
Right.
that was too black. They went in there. They were doing the Cupid show.
Right.
You know that's the one white folks know.
That's the way. I feel safe doing this one. Wow.
He has the directions in the
Yeah. Electric slide.
What is that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Oh man.
Oh, God.
But yeah, Mobile, and the crazy part is being born and raised here in Mobile and growing up, you know, everything, and forever being here in Mobile. I went away to school for 3 years, and I went to Atlanta. Atlanta is a different ball game than Mobile when it comes to their black people and what they will and will not take.
Yeah.
So you have a group of black people in Atlanta that are just going to be just like the black people here in Mobile, the older black people. But then you got a group in Atlanta that were out there with Dr. King. They were out there with Malcolm X. They were like John Lewis, like they were out there.
Yeah.
So you get each dynamic, and then you come back to Mobile, and it's like, it's like, no, you're not doing that. You doing what? You what? No,
You doing way too much.
And
You asking for
get
way
it.
too much.
The uncomfortableness comes from family. It comes from the church.
Definitely
Because
the church.
tell me
Definitely
one
the
black
church.
person that was born and raised in Mobile that ain't grew up in that church.
Absolutely.
So when you
speak
start
on
to
it.
question anything outside of how you were brought up,
We have this conversation all the time.
I'm a born and raised preacher's kid.
Are you?
See?
Yeah,
You're a PK?
I'm a PK.
Oh,
so
wow.
when I start asking questions, it's like, ooh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute now. You're asking a little too much.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I grew up in
Yeah.
a very liberal home. You know, and a lot of views were expressed
Right.
in my house. So moving south was definitely a eye opener for me.
Culture shock
A
almost, huh?
big
Yeah.
culture shock because you know how we were raised. It was all sorts of different nationalities, all sorts of different opinions,
Yeah.
all sorts of conversations, all those things. Move here, it's very primitive. You have one side and the other, and that's
There you
it.
go.
There's no
There you go.
gray
And
area.
it's funny because growing up, I have generally my entire life been either one of few or the only black. Like where I'm currently working at now, I'm the only black person. It's me.
Do you feel like your voice is being kind of?
Yeah, hell yeah, every day. Because first of all, I don't. Being afraid to speak up is not optional. It's no longer optional because if I don't say something, it doesn't get said.
right.
And with me having the only seat at the table, there are moments where I will question something and it will go because there's nobody to back me up. It's just like, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then on top of that, being a woman, it's like, yeah, it's probably your period.
And you're a woman.
I hate that one.
God.
I hate that.
So
Women are
being
emotional.
The only, like everybody like hypes up, you know, being the first or being the only black, being the first or being the only at the table gets lonely as hell. And
It's lonely at the
it's
top.
Yeah.
hard as hell.
Yeah.
But you still have to fight.
Yeah.
It's no longer an option.
Yeah.
No option.
That I guess that is why, as Kim says, I'm the aggressive black friend.
So it's like you against the machine.
Right.
Mm,
Right. The big
the
machine.
big machine.
And you know the problem is you feeling like you're lonely in those positions when you are the voice that we all like. You are the person that we would come to
Absolutely.
and be our voice, but yet we make you feel lonely
Right.
in that position.
There have been so many times where it was, oh, you a sellout.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
did enough. Why you don't reach out enough? And it's like, it's me.
By
It's
myself.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I had 27 eyes and 57 arms,
Right.
then I could get that all accomplished.
Right.
I don't. So I'm gonna do what I can with what I got, and create as many seats at the table as possible. But please also understand that there are boundaries to what I'm allowed to get away with. Not to mention, again, it is just me.
Yeah.
You know, and then again, like, you know, I have that other side where it's like, maybe I don't speak like so many other black people. And they like, yeah, you probably not really with us because you don't sound like us. You don't dress like us. You don't look like us. I'm still just as black as you are.
No, you're not.
I'm black. Exactly. No,
But you're not, though.
No, you're not.
But you're not.
Right. That's the God honest truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's a sad day when blacks have to be looked at us differently.
As
from other
if we
blacks.
cannot be multidimensional.
Yeah, like we just have to be one way.
Yeah.
Right. If we not the loud home girl with, you know, fingernails as long as Coco from SWV. And, you know.
Listen, when she said that, yo, I was like panning over this way.
No, but the thing is, I work in retail and I'm at my computer often, and I deal with customers and I'm at my computer, and they're like, "Oh my God, how do you type?" Well, ma'am, I have an English degree. I've written papers.
Right.
I'm a poet. Like this is what I do. So I can type whether my nails are this long or whether I have none at all.
Right.
So please don't judge me off of what you see. Right. Because I might want a bright fluorescent yellow today. Yeah. And some that I just kind of move in and out of. Yeah. So you're right.
It's a time and place for it all.
Exactly.
Okay, last question.
Okay. 'Cause I gotta wrap up.
Can we trust white people?
Hell no.
No.
That
I'll
ain't
tell you
even no
this.
question.
My great grandmother is mixed. My great grandmother is mixed. Her mother was white. Her father was black. Hates white people. So no.
You cannot trust white people because white people are racist. That is not up for debate. That is a fact. White people have been born in a racist system, and even when they don't realize that they are being racist, they are being racist.
They're being racist.
There you go.
Okay, and until you get ready to unlearn that shit, you are a racist.
There you go.
Sorry.
How about
but
that?
You know what? I don't apologize.
How about that? I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Once they show you, I think that they will be your friend until it's time to when it comes
What
when
I
it comes
would
down.
always
When it
hear
comes uncomfortable to
by
them.
from so many white people is they would start having these conversations about black people, and I would say, well, hold up, wait a minute. Oh no, not you. You different. No, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm that black person.
No, I'm not. We're not gonna do that. But there are so many black people that feel comfortable when they hear you not like them. They like, oh, you're right. I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah.
You look mixed.
Okay.
I am. You know, my father was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for you two coming on. Ariel, thank you so much for coming on Monday Night. Let's get them claps. And thank you for our two guests coming in. Kim, you still have time to come down and get registered. We already passed our goal, so we met the goal, guys. So the more the merrier. We're still here for a little bit more. Kim, do you want 15, 20 minutes? Okay, so listen, Money Mike, can we break right here? Give me a quick little set. I got one more guest I want to bring up real quick, and then we will wrap up. Thank you so much, Ariel, for coming in. Ariel, we're going to keep in touch. I want to talk to you some more because I like how you think. I like how you think. Kim, thank you so much for having us on. Kim night, everybody.
Yay!
I can't say anymore.
Go Kim.
Go Kim. Hey, and it's black women putting this on, so just keep that in mind. Okay? Money Mike, we're going to, I can't even talk. Is that what is this? Crown?
I think it's Crown.
Okay, thank you.
Passing drinks.
They just passing drinks.
Just
Okay,
passing drinks and we
right.
just
I'm
sipping.
trying to vote. Damn it. Money Mike is going to do a quick second. We'll be right back. Oh, okay. Maker's Mark.
Make sure that you hit your mark on the maker.
Okay, there it is. Yes. Thank you, Maker's Mark. All right, Money Mike, take us out. Thank you.
Master Productions.
My name is my name is
You can take it off.
Elevate your voice.
I'm gonna let this
And we're live. There we go. Thank you guys for sticking in with us. We are here, downtown Mobile. We are live at Kazula's, the most famous spot in Mobile. Period. We've been here a lot. I've been through here doing many of things. Shout out to everybody that's been sticking with us throughout the day. We are here at the Rock Your Vote Voters Registration Drive. I'm your host, Dirk the Great. And with my co-host, Yo, is still here in the building rocking with me. And we have two special guests in the building. We have here Etheridge for Everyone, who is running for City Council District 5 in the famous city of Pritchard, Alabama. Let's give her a round of applause for coming onto the panel. And I'm going to let my boy introduce himself because without further ado.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Williams.
Yes.
It's a pleasure, honor to finally be at the table. Yeah,
Jerry.
Guys, I've been knowing for a long time.
Yes.
More than enough years to be able to sit at the table now.
Yeah.
And before we go any further, I want to shout out my brother Mark Jackson for allowing us to be able to come to the spot, the most famous spot in Mobile for Black unity.
That's it. That's it.
History. So shout out to my bro,
Yeah, shout out to Mark Jackson for hosting us here. He's been the gracious host, as he always has every time we've come here to Kazula. You just drop some history real quick with the name Kazula.
Cudjo Lewis, if you really want to be saying it. It was Kazula's AKA, if you want to speak like the children of nowadays, and that's no cap. He was the last one to make it across here, the last surviving member of the Cotilda. I don't know if you guys are up on what's going on, but they have evidence that the Cotilda has been discovered here locally. So, man, if you are able to tap into some type of Google search, Google yourself just as doing the research on your city. This is your city, man. Our city is built on a lot of history.
Right.
So, yeah, man, check it out.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks, Jerry, for coming in, man. You know, we've known each other for years, brother. And, it's just I'm glad to have you on, man. You know, you are very extensive in local politics. And, you know, just to meet you for the first time, Miss Etheridge.
Yes, I'll take my mask off.
Okay.
I've been properly introduced.
Right, properly introduced. So you're running for District 5
I am.
in Pritchard, Alabama.
I am.
Explain why you're running.
Really and truly, the whole sole purpose of why I'm running is to, I know this sounds cliche, but to initiate change.
Okay.
Our people need a voice. And we can't depend on just a voice through someone like Obama, you know, not discrediting what he's done. But we need a voice from our own people, from somebody that struggled, just like me, you and I, somebody that's relatable, somebody that understands. And when I joined the Poor People's Campaign and got educated on the movement that Dr. Martin Luther King left behind, and for somebody to pick up the torch on, we as people are not really educated on the true understandings, I think the fundamentals of political literacy. And I think that's really important in the community. And I'm 27 years old. So I'm not the oldest person and I'm not the youngest person in politics, but I feel like where I am today is where a lot of people have been or a lot of people are going. Because I've been through a lot of things. My rap sheet is long of the things accomplishments that I've had, but I'm glad I don't look like what I've been through. Because it takes a person that's been through things and struggled to understand how to get a solution to these problems. And all I'm focused on with Pritchard, the reason why my campaign is called Etheridge for Everyone is because of the philosophy like this. When we're in Pritchard, when I'm in my district at home and I need to go pay my water bill, or I need to go to the post office, or I need to take my daughter to school, I'm having to drive through every other district in my city to get where I need to go. And if every other district is experiencing some issues, then that means we need to focus on the city as a whole. And if you look at successful municipalities run like a machine. They all are moving parts that work together. And unfortunately, Pritchard, Alabama, and the local government within our city is not a moving factor anymore, like a machine. They're working against each other for a position of power or something more so that's a fathom, when we need to be focused on community, putting the unity back in community and focusing on the people. We can't focus on power and money if the people are not there to give it to you. And I think people in our community lack the knowledge of education, not because of the ignorance, but because it's just not given anymore. It's not a fluent conversation that we have anymore. It's not taught in school. It's not taught in college. It isn't even taught in a level where people can understand it and reiterate that back to you.
Right.
What did you just talk about? What did we just talk about?
Right.
And that's why I focus on trying to keep it simple and educate people and keep political literacy as the forefront. Education. Why is voting for your local government important? Why is your municipality a very important place for you to focus your vote on? Voting for the president is important. I get it, because we want anything but Trump at this point. I get it. But this is the first time we're making history right now. This is the first time in history that a president, not the first time, but the first time in our generations, that the president is making decisions that directly affect us in our local municipalities. But in all sense of everything in the grand scheme, your local governments are what directly affect you. Your water bills, your taxes, your roads, your how you take your children to school, the education funding, the discretionary funds, things of that nature that all tie into local government. And I think it's just a lack of knowledge. And my sole purpose is Etheridge for Everyone is for political literacy, to educate the community and to bring the community together and promote unity. And that's pretty much, all that ties into that is accountability, holding all city officials, all public servants, because we have to look at the end of the day, yes, they're police officers, yes, they're firemen, yes, they're the mayor, yes, they're our councilmen and women, but they are public servants. Our tax dollars that we work hard for pay for them to publicly serve us in a ethically and moral way that it seems fit for us. And unfortunately, not just Pritchard, it's like a rapid thing that we're seeing all over the United States. As you can see, people are now reacting. It's not that people just wanted to go out and riot. They're actually showing their feelings now. They're reacting. And it's rapid all over the United States. And I think that if we can begin, protests are great. I'm for the movement, but we got to go further than the protest. We got to protest, and we got to understand how we can go further by changing the laws and holding accountability to the municipal officials and all the people that make the decisions. And I think that's where the disconnection is at this point. Is we have all this knowledge and we have all these people that want to do things, but we need to know how to get to the next step. Yeah. And that's kind of where I am. Etheridge for Everyone is promoting political literacy for everyone, promoting education for everyone, to educate everyone on what's important, what's not important, what's right, what's not right. And I think that's, keeping that as my focus and focusing solely on the people and not the power I could gain in politics, because I'm going to be honest. Politics was something I never ever thought I would be doing. but I knew it was necessary. And when I was challenged by Dr. William J. Barber to go home and do something that was going to actually change, then I said, okay, what can I do? And I sat at home and I kept trying to do, you know, little protests and get people to sign this petition and get people to educate people on this and let's go do this, but it wasn't enough. So what I feel like is enough now is let's shake the table. Let's do a clean sweep everywhere. Pritchard, Mobile, everywhere needs a clean sweep. We need to put people back into the positions because ultimately we the people gave these politicians power.
Wow. That's incredible. I think that you hit definitely on the right. You're definitely touching on the right thing. Political literacy.
Yeah.
I listen. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and you can attest to this too, Jeff. You know that political literacy is up and for, especially for our people, because we're not educated enough in politics. And I feel like if it doesn't affect our bubble that we tend to put ourselves in, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
That everything else outside of that doesn't matter.
And see, that's just the thing. I mean, when you say affect our bubble, that's exactly what local politics do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What we vote into office today affects us tomorrow.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, on a national scale, yes, it's important to be a voice in the presidential election.
Right.
Our U.S. Congress, great. I mean, good. But again, our local politics, guys, who we vote in for cheaper police,
Right.
cheaper firemen.
Right.
I mean, all of
The
these
Board of Education.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's over our children?
Right.
All
Right.
of
Absolutely.
these people make decisions to where it will affect us tomorrow. So we need to do our due diligence in learning and being in the know of what these people stand for. Let's just not blindly vote based on name, face recognition, popularity.
And that's another thing that I focus on.
If they're
is
gonna
popularity.
be popular, then
Yeah.
let them be popular for doing
Right.
something. I mean, something.
Right.
Yes.
Something.
Do
Right.
Not just
something.
being popular.
I mean,
Right.
I personally sit down, I know people, I rub elbows, I shake hands with guys who have sat in positions for many years, and because of the fact that they feel that no one is going to come up and contest them, they're going to continue to be there and just sit comfortably. And we are in a place now where we can no longer afford to just be stagnant where we've been. Our ancestors, our people who fought before us, 60s, 50s, 40s, we congratulate and appreciate everything they've done. But what we have done since then has been stagnant. Once we got to a place where we were considered equal, we began to be, again, stagnant. We lost our stride. What we have to do currently, guys, is pick up the baton and start running again. We still have milestones to reach, guys.
Yeah.
So-
Marathon continues.
But we're making history right now. I mean, I don't think that people realize the times that we're in. My 6-year-old is going to be reading about the riots because of George Floyd and all of these. She's gonna be reading about this like it's the LA riots that
Right.
we
That we read
Yeah.
about in the
We read
Rodney
about,
King
yeah.
incident.
That's
Absolutely.
why I like pride myself on being normal. Okay, and when I say being normal, I don't try to mask myself. And no disrespect, Jerry, because I know you pride yourself on the politician way, but that's why I pride myself on looking normal and keep staying normalized. I still look normal. I still have tattoos that I don't cover up. I still, have piercings and I still wear glasses. And
You look like, not to cut you, but you look like the one that would say that my vote doesn't count.
Yes.
She looks like
Yeah.
You look like that person.
That's
That
it.
you're trying to
I
lead.
want, that's
Yeah.
that
Right.
generational
Right.
era that I'm trying to draw
Right.
in.
Yeah.
I want to look and be myself, so people say, okay, she can be herself and she can get her voice heard. So guess what? Instead of my voice not counting, or I've grown up to think that my voice don't matter, or I'm not gonna be heard because I have tattoos, or I'm not gonna be respected because I look like this, or I'm gonna be marginalized because I'm a certain tint of skin. So I want to be that voice to say you can be heard. You can do something to change your inevitable path that society tries to stricken you with.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I see. Yeah.
And so that's why I've pride myself on being normal, on looking normal, talking normal, and just being me.
I think that works.
I do too.
I think that, people see right through fake shit.
Right.
Let's just
wasn't
call it what it
saying
is.
that, but
Especially millennials.
Right.
Not only are they millennials, they're intellectuals.
Yeah.
We see the bullshit from afar.
Right.
And, we've been bamboozled for years. We've been bamboozled for years. We've been hoodwinked for years.
Too long.
And it's just been too long, and the time has come that we change that. And to have young people like you that are in position to understand that concept is amazing to me. And it needs to be more like that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And again,
But you have to be
shout out to y'all
fearless.
for doing this whole voter
Absolutely.
registration thing. But we can't stop it at the voter registration. It's cool to say we done registered 1 million people to vote.
Right.
Great.
But did they
But
actually
did
go
to
vote?
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
Did they
Yeah.
show up
That's
and
why
actually
we gotta
Yeah.
have a party at the
So,
polls each time.
Each time.
Party to the polls.
Yeah.
We gotta make it exciting. We
Yeah.
gotta take party buses to the polls. And
Yep.
I'm sharing that idea with everybody. Because I want everybody to take the initiative to have a party to the polls.
Yep.
Get a party bus, load it up, serve some nice cool water and whatever, pick people up, go
Or
to
some Maker's Mark that I'm drinking.
that he's drinking.
Yes. No.
No, but that is a dope idea though, because we, I think we said it earlier.
Yes.
And one of the other, before we went on the breaks.
Right.
I'm looking for
can't
volunteers.
Stop here. It can't stop here. We do need to continue to keep the ball rolling. So I like the idea. Party at the polls, do something to get.
That can be a
people-
thing.
We got them out here to register today, but about tomorrow.
We can get a party bus to go to New Orleans for our birthday.
We can
Yeah,
take party
thank
buses
you.
to the casino every
Thank you.
weekend
Mm.
before
Thank you.
COVID. So I know that people will
Thank
get
you.
on the bus.
Man, I'm gonna sneak ahead and
If you stand in line for Jordans, you can stand
You
in
can stand in line
line
to
for
vote.
We can do it.
Now,
I'm saying.
exactly. Speaking of, not to cut you, Jared.
No worries.
Speaking of standing in line to vote, being that we are in a pandemic and people are concerned about that, and standing in long lines with a bunch of people is a concern.
Right.
So there has been a push for absentee and mail-in ballot.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about those? How do you feel about that? That agenda being pushed, with mail-in ballots,
I'm not
absentee ballots.
opposed to it.
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to
Same.
the mail-in ballot. However, considering the amount of mishaps that can happen on our first try of this thing, I'm not so convinced that we should go at it wholeheartedly. For those that need it, absolutely. For those that are timid and want to stay home, and I'm not mad at that. And by all means, please stay safe.
Yeah.
However, for anybody that's willing to go out and do the hard labor of standing in the line and pushing the number or filling in the bubble and actually doing it, I would certainly encourage that be the process, because again, what we want to do is ensure that at the very least we don't see any more of the
Seeing is
mishaps that
believing.
we've
You
seen.
need to see
Right.
that your vote counted.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because we don't want to hear no excuses
I mean,
that
hell,
thousands got lost in the
let's
mail.
So, right.
Let's
I
go
hear you.
into vote, we go into knowing that
Right.
this could be some bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's a
Right.
good chance that these votes never even make it to the point of being
Right.
counted.
Right.
We saw the evidence of it.
Right.
Boxes and boxes
Yep.
and boxes
Right.
of votes that were never even counted.
Right.
To think that we are now going to miraculously go into some mail-in voting and
Right.
it's going to make sense and it's going to make I'm not convinced of it.
Yeah.
Now we can try it.
Mm-hmm.
For those that need it, can definitely take advantage of it. I'm all for that.
Mhm.
And if it works, by all means, let's try it again the next cycle.
Mhm.
And let's go a little further with it. But until we get that shit foolproof, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of it.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. I also read about the online voting, which is a sham. I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, that was the whole reason that the election got stolen in 2016.
Right. Right.
And they even have a app out right now called Alabama Vote for residents here that you can go and check your voting precinct. You
Right.
can check and see your registration, but you can actually request. Well, it was like this a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
You can actually request cast a ballot, or you could, if you don't have your voting rights, it gave you the information to restore your voting rights, right there on the site. But the issue with that is once you get that confirmation number, like the steps, because I've been following the process with a few people that I registered that way. And the process is, how do you follow up once they give you this confirmation number and they say they're going to send you something in the mail, and after the time that it goes for them to send it something in the mail, who do you call?
Right.
They didn't think about that. And that's the issue with a lot of these progressive thought processes of voting, such like Jerry said, like it was boxes of ballots that they found. So what's to say that there's not about to be an email full of thousands
of ballots
of people trying to register,
right?
And they're not getting through,
right?
And so that's my concern with electronics. I don't think that it's as technical savvy as they make it.
Right. Yeah, it's easily hacked, and it's just not foolproof.
We just almost had one.
Exactly. I mean, it's just, it's just, you have to, what is the best option? Just show up to the polls?
Absolutely.
And make your vote count?
I'm looking for volunteers who want to help me, go pick up people and take them to the polls. That's just for me and my campaign personally. But I'm doing that not just for my election on August 25th, but I'm going to do that for the presidential election too, because anything but Trump.
Anything but Trump.
Anything.
That's a hashtag.
I would vote for my dog before I vote for Trump.
How about that? Wow. Real quick, your city, Pritchard, which I'm assuming you're from, born and raised.
Actually, no, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Now, quick synopsis, and this is kind of will give you a background of my element of why I do what I do. I was born in Mobile, Alabama, but I was raised in Leroy, Alabama, which is Washington County.
Okay.
It's about 55 miles north of here. And when you drive 55 miles north, you drive about 60 years behind.
So it's like you went into a time machine and went all the way back.
Time warp.
Right. Okay.
I grew up in a time where my father and mother were the first, truly outspoken mixed couple to be out and openly have a relationship. And so I grew up with a lot of hardships. I have on my father's side, he's Scott-Irish. I have some Klans members that are family members. And then on my mother's side, we're Creole and Moroccan. So I have, my grandmother was like the first African-American woman to work at the Clark steel mill. And she was the first to do a lot of things. And we didn't find that out until after she had passed away and her lockbox opened. So it was like this something I always knew I had, to grow up and always be a fighter, having to deal with adversity. And, I wasn't black enough for the black people. I wasn't white enough for the white people. Just because I looked like an Indian, they didn't like me. So I have a different perspective. That's why I think I'm so not neutral, but just very understanding of all. Because I've seen it from all different spectrums. I've seen hate from every type of person. And so I think that's why when I moved to Pritchard, I grew up in a place in Leroy where I could walk out my back door and nobody ever say anything. It's community. Somebody's gonna call somebody if you get lost or go down the street too far or whatever. But to get to a community like Pritchard and just see people absolutely are just nonchalant about the well-being of other people. It bothered me, and I had never even seen a homeless person until I moved here. And I got into a lot of trouble. My mom is a contest to tell you that I almost got locked up a few times because I kept trying to help these people, not knowing this is not what we're supposed to be doing right now. We need to figure out, okay, why are they here? And so then I started asking the right questions, and I think that's where we are, like I said, in that gap, bridging the gap. I'm trying to bridge the gap on asking the right questions in the right time and put people in the right places, in the right positions to build those resources and pull us out of these generational curses and get us into a better place. And so, it sparked my interest when, unfortunately, not to make this too personal, but my house got broken into about 3 years ago. And long story short, when the police officers, it was a group of kids, and 16, 17, and 18. And when the Pritchard police brought me the paperwork to sign these boys' rights away. Basically, I was going to sign a piece of paper, and they were going to go pick these boys up from school that day and put them in Strickland. And then on their 18th birthday, they were going to go to jail. Not only go to jail, but be up. They were going to have a birthday present of a felony, and I wasn't going to put these boys in another statistic-like situation when you don't know why they were stealing. And I did the research. I know why. These boys were stealing to put food on the table. They were stealing to eat.
It was survival.
They were surviving.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. We got to get out of. We got to stop living to survive, and we got to start living.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we are in Pritchard. There's so many people just surviving in Pritchard, and I'm one of them. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm like, hey, I'm right here with you. We're gonna stand in line together. We're gonna get these resources together, and that's where I'm at. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, is because I told those police officers that day, I tore that piece of paper up in their face and told them I would never do that, because I don't have a son. But I asked that police officer, if your son was out at 1 a.m. making a bad decision with a group of friends, would you want a lady to be standing over his destiny
and make his and make
because
the choice for him?
That would be the rest of his life.
Yep.
Because he would not be able to vote.
Right.
And when he turned 18, he would have a lot of stipulations to. And not, let's not even talk about the fact that he would be a marginalized group.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that's just another thing on top of that. So I could not sleep with myself if I would have done that. So that's why, and that sparked my interest that I got to do something to change this. Hold the police department more accountable to how they handle things. I've got to see why our children are out here roaming the streets. I got to see why so many families in Pritchard are just surviving. And it's because we are in a monopoly. We have no options on power and water and gas. We have one.
Right.
In other cities such as Atlanta and New York, Houston, you have options on your energy sources. Yeah. And you can shop for the best energy source that's right for you and your lifestyle. We don't get those options.
Not those privileges. We have one, and that's it. And you have to deal with whatever comes with it.
Yeah. I think that people from the South are the most resilient people in America.
Talk about it.
In America, because people don't understand struggle like African American and minority people here. Yeah. It is unheard of. Because I was in the military, so when I traveled around, my nickname in the Army was Bama. So when I would tell Bama like stories, people would be there. It's like I would be telling a folk tale. They wouldn't even believe me. That they wouldn't even believe the fact that I've been spit on before because of the color of my skin, that I've been jumped on because of what I look like, or that I've been called everything but a child of God. So they don't believe that. They don't believe that the Klan done kidnapped me before and it was my own family members.
Okay.
So
that was a little too much. Listen. Wow.
I mean,
okay.
But it's real. I'm a real person, and I keep it very transparent for a reason, because people need to see that. Politicians these days are not transparent, and that's the issue. And they're not being held accountable, and that's where we're at right now. We need to hold people accountable and make them be transparent.
I agree. I think we need to have her back on another show. Yeah. Because time just won't prevail. Because I really want to hear more. Yeah. On what I have two last questions. Did you have anything?
No, I know. I've been knowing Kala for a while now.
Yeah. Oh, y'all know each other.
Yeah. So I know Kala.
Oh, how about
Kala.
Yeah, she know I'm
so
small world.
Yeah, I know her.
Even before I decided to do this.
Yeah, before this. So this Kala, I like to do your thing.
I'm loving this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen,
I had it back then, but it was just a little muddled through.
You had to go through something.
Yeah, I had to go through a little bit more.
I even remember when your house was broken into. So yeah.
At that time, I was working 4 jobs, and she remembers. I was working 4 jobs because my daughter was born with a genetic disorder, so that's what motivated me to just be an entrepreneur and have that spirit to just not take no for an answer and not accept living off of a situation where I got to be dependent on a paycheck that's coming in the mail or something. I'm got to go get it. Yeah. So Yo watched me go from I would come in at Finish Line, get off from Finish Line, or I would go to Pizza Hut in the morning, get off from Pizza Hut. I was the assistant store manager for that. Then I was the assistant manager for Finish Line. Come in to Finish Line, be a sales associate there, and then go drive delivery back at another Pizza Hut. I'm a store manager driving delivery at another location. And then when I get off from delivering, when it closed down, I would go bartend. I worked at 3 different bars at that time, including Mark Jackson was the first person to employ me in Pritchard. And that's why I give all my dues and thanks to Mark Jackson. I just have to take time. I talk highly of him all the time.
Shout out to Mark Jackson.
Shout out to Mark because he taught me the resilience that I know, you know, when it comes to working and never giving up and never accepting the fate that somebody else
That's exactly right. I remember when Mark first opened his establishment, just to make this real short.
I started at Tag.
Yeah, at Tag.
I started at Tag.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because I remember when at Tag,
right
before Kazula was even a thing, and I remember and I remember when Mark took me to this property before it was what it was, what it is now. And I remember he stood there and just showed me the whole vision. He said, "This is what I'm going to do." I remember this like it was yesterday.
I tell you, when he said he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
And he absolutely did that. So all respect to Mark Jackson.
And he helped me pay my way through school working here in Kazula. Kazula helped me pay my way through my first degree at University of Mobile.
Wow.
That sits on the soil of Pritchard. Just want to throw that out there.
Last 2 questions. Jared, what about why now? Voting. Why is it so important? Now I know it's always important, but this climate, this time, why is it even more important that we show up and show out at the polls this year?
I'll tell you something that a great man once told me, or asked me rather. If not now, then when? And if not us,
then who?
Right.
Who else is going to do it, guys? It's apparent that the help is not going to come. We have to be our own help. And if that be the case, now is of the utmost importance. It's been time. Let's be clear. It's been time. I mean, now even more so than ever before because now there is little to no regard for us.
Right.
Us.
All the way down to the end of the table. There are little to no regard for us. And that's been the case for far too long. Not now, guys. When? Not us.
Who?
Yep.
That's interesting. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. 2-part. How did you get involved with the Poor People's Campaign, and why Pritchard? What about Pritchard that made you see like, you know what, I need to run?
Well, with the Poor People's Campaign, it's really funny because I was already speaking out on issues. I mean, Yo remembers when I was working at Finish Line, stuff would burn me up and I would just go on these rants about it and I would be like, somebody's got to do something. And I got, from doing community organizing, I met Jerry and, I started working with a guy by the name of Greg Harris with his campaign, and he was running for a House seat. So I was learning that I'm just gonna be honest. I was learning that Black people can dabble in politics and it be successful. And just because you don't win that particular seat doesn't mean it wasn't successful. It's all about the people that you touched in that process, and to keep that narrative going. And so, Pastor Tony Allgood gave me an opportunity last summer to go to Washington, D.C. and get political education with the Poor People's Campaign. And it was my first time really. I heard about it, from studying Martin Luther King Jr., but I had never seen it on that scale. And to see thousands and thousands of people come together from all different states, from over 25 different states, come together in one place, Howard University, and to be in D.C., And he educated us all on fusion education. That's what sparked it. Okay, fusion education. My problem is your problem, and your problem ties into this problem, and this problem, it's like a snowball effect. And so when I learned that all of these issues kind of work with each other, and then we have to find a solution to it. And the political education they gave, like I said, he charged us going home. And the charge was, I want you to go home and do something that's actually going to initiate change. And he said something the whole time he was there. I want to say something. Dr. Barber is a strong speaker.
Yes.
And he says things that are very controversial to some people. But I think that when he said, I want to make you mad enough to where you would get up and actually go do something, that stuck with me. And that's what I brought back to Pritchard. And so many people in Pritchard are saying, you know, they even the own citizens in Pritchard will say, oh, nobody cares about us. Nobody, you know, they just have this really bad outlook on it. And then you meet some people that absolutely love Pritchard, that would never change, that would never trade Pritchard for anything in the world. So how can we find the bridge of the gap right there? And I think what it is fusion education. And why I chose Pritchard is because I'm raising my daughter in Pritchard. You know, I made a decision when I moved there. I was 21 when I moved into public housing, Hope 6. And living there opened my eyes to life. And that's what motivated me to say, you know what? Instead of just my daughter growing up here and I'm going to be like everybody else and say, you know, we're just a forgotten city and nothing's ever going to change, and everybody that's in the city is just eventually just going to, you know, migrate or do something else or whatever. I didn't want to accept that. So what I chose to do was, okay, I'm going to get up and do something. What's the best way to convey the message and get the message out there? Because of so many issues going on in Pritchard right now with their politics, anybody running for anything in Pritchard is going to get an absolute limelight. And so if I have a message, a narrative coming from the Poor People's Campaign, and that's what I promote, the narrative is from the Poor People's Campaign about fusion education and political literacy and getting understanding of your community and the issues going on in community, and how can we as people and community unify together and help fix the issues instead of depending on politicians playing with power that they got from us.
Wow.
You know, we have to learn how to do something. And so I felt like, okay, I'm not going to get any recognition as CALA and being a community organizer, because I've been doing that for the last few years. Let me shake the table. And so I started the Ethers for Everyone, and my whole campaign and everything is about the education and shaking the table. I want to just see a clean sweep. I don't have nothing against any person in a political position currently, but all I'm saying is it's just time for a clean sweep, because we just need a refresher. We need something that's more progressive and just fresh, a fresh start.
Fresh start. There it is.
Clean sweep 2020.
Clean sweep 2020.